I'll close my eyes, don't worry. Then, Rein lay down to sleep, while she stayed awake as a club, staring at him in great happiness, recalling her journey, the suffering of people exploiting her skills, and the fear she felt all her life. But now, thanks to Rein, she feels safe for the first time. The next morning, the two continued their adventures, until the guild girl told them about a difficult task. There is a terrifying monster at the big bridge that defeats everyone who tries to cross it, and whoever manages to eliminate it will receive a huge reward. As soon as Rein heard of the reward, he immediately agreed, and set off with Kanade to the bridge in search of the monster. As soon as she got there, she was shocked when she saw a huge dragon in front of her. Suddenly, the dragon fell to the ground and turned into a girl in front of them, who smiled. It's good that someone came to humanize my loneliness. Let me introduce myself, Tanya, as one of the strong, dragon-like species. Rein was deeply shocked and asked, "Are you the one attacking people here?" Tanya smiled and said, "Yes. Now get ready too, it's your turn." She attacked Ren's very quickly, but he managed to repel the attack. So she looked at him in amazement and said, "You amazed me. This blow alone brought down half of those who were here before you," and then stepped back and blew fire out of her mouth. This time Kanade's tail was consumed by flames, angering her, and she rushed to attack with all her might. Rein took advantage of the opportunity and drove towards Tanya to get ready for her, but she noticed at the last minute, grabbed them together and circled them in the air, then threw them away. After that, she prepared to launch a fatal blow at them while they were still in the sky. But Rein laughed and told Kanade, "Just give me 3 minutes and I'll take care of it." In those moments, Rein began taming one of the birds that were flying in the sky. The 3 minutes passed, and he returned to fighting, and Tanya looked at him and said, "Finally you will face me." Rein replied with a smile, "Not me, it's those." Suddenly swarms of birds swooped down from everywhere and attacked Tanya. She got angry and said sarcastically, "Do you think a dragon like me would be defeated in such a naive way?" Rein laughed and said, "It's a Beto. Its pinch paralyzes the whole body and prevents its owner from moving for hours. You won't even be able to move a finger now." Tanya admitted her defeat and surrendered, and Rein was thrilled. He took her to the guild and told them that he had defeated the monster that was intercepting people on the bridge. The union employee rejoiced and said, "I will give you the reward, but only after making sure that your words are true." Then she looked at Tanya and asked, "And who is this girl next to you?" Tanya almost identified herself, but Rein was quick to muffle her mouth, saying, "She's just my follower, nothing more." When they went out, Rein explained to her, "If people knew you were the monster, they wouldn't leave you alone. My mission is over here, and I don't want anything from you. If you continue on your way, you will reach another city. Live in peace, but don't repeat what you did here again." Tanya looked at him in shock and said, "You're so kind, but I decided to stay with you. Or do you not want me?" Rein was surprised by her words, while Kanade was jealous, but eventually agreed to bring her into his team, concluding a contract similar to that of Kanade. Next, Tanya approached Rein and said gently, "Take good care of me, sir." Meanwhile, the hero's squad was in big trouble, as they couldn't cross the Forest of Illusion for a whole week. One girl said, "If Rein were with us, he would use his animals and cross us in seconds." Arius laughed maliciously and said, "What's the problem? Let's give it back to us. He has no dignity, and will be content to return in seconds." Meanwhile, Rein and his companions in the forest were on a mission to eliminate the slime creatures that were spoiling the fields. The monsters were weak, and anyone could defeat them, but their problem lay in their sheer numbers. During their search, Rein couldn't find where the slimes were gathering. So he told Kanade and Tanya, "Watch my body for a moment and I'll know where they are." They didn't understand what he meant, but he closed his eyes and passed consciousness to one of the birds in the sky, and then told them, "Watch out for my body. I'll check where they gather and come back." The two girls were surprised by what he did, but he already managed to find the place where the monsters gathered. Upon arrival, Tanya asked Rein to use the magic of fire against them. He replied, "But I'm weak at magic, and my strength is barely at the first level." Tanya smiled and said, "Just try, don't bother." Rein agreed, and suddenly, he launched a devastating gunshot blow that wiped out all the monsters at once. Tanya looked at him in amazement and said, "As a dragon-like, I am ranked as the second most powerful magical energy among rare spirits. Since you made a deal with me, you have the same magical energy as I do." Tanya began to teach him magic, but she was strict and nervous during his training. However, Rein managed to master it. After completing the mission, they returned to the guild, and Rein handed over the monster's gems, and he received his reward. Then they went out for a walk in the city. In the evening, Rein invited the two girls to dinner to celebrate Tanya joining their team, and the trio were delighted. But suddenly, Kanade asked him, "What's the secret of your power in taming monsters?" And where did you come from? Ren was silent for a moment, and then finally decided to tell them his story, saying, I lived in a village full of talented monster tamers. My parents were among them, and one day, I left for the forest to train and increase my strength. Time passed without me feeling, and when I came back at night, I found my village destroyed, and all its inhabitants had been killed. Pause, then continue in a low voice. I couldn't bear the shock, so I stayed standing there until a group of soldiers came and took me with them. I grew up in a family and had to work every day to earn a living, until one day I met the hero Arius and his friends, and they offered me to join them. I was very happy. I finally felt that someone needed me, but Arius saw me as nothing but a tool. He used me to carry luggage, to monitor the place, and he continued to exploit me again and again. I was doing all this for nothing until the day he decided to kick me off from the team. The rest you know well. Kanade was deeply moved by his words and told him, Now I understand why you are throwing yourself in danger alone and why you are leaving us behind. Tanya felt sad for him and said, You're too kind, but that's a beautiful quality in you. Ren felt very moved, and tears almost gathered in his eyes. But Kanade and Tanya looked at him confidently and said, Don't care about them. If we ever see them, we will never forgive them. And so the day ended. The next day, the trio set off on a new mission to face the ogres. As a club, and Tanya started competing for who would be able to defeat the most of them. Ren warned Tanya, Wait and don't go any further. It could be dangerous for you, but she did not listen to him and replied confidently, No one will be able to me. She rushed into the fight against the ogres, not caring about the danger. But suddenly, a huge ghoul grabbed her hand and pulled her down to the ground. Tanya fired a shot from her hands and killed him in moments, but she didn't notice another ogre who was attacking her from behind, and almost killed her had Ren not intervened at the last minute, receiving the blow in her place, using his arm to protect her. Tanya was deeply moved and felt guilty that she did not listen to his warning, which led to his injury. They went back to the guild and handed over the stones, and things were going well. But Tanya couldn't forget what had happened, so she went to the river feeling sad and confused. She didn't know how to face Ren after she caused his injury. A little girl saw her and asked her, Why do you look sad? Tanya replied, I made a huge mistake. The child smiled and said, My mother always tells me that if I make a mistake, I have to apologize. Tanya was moved by her words, and when Ren came to see her, she looked at him and said, I'm sorry I didn't listen to you. Ren smiled and said, If that's what makes you sad, it's okay. The important thing is that you're okay and sound. But be careful next time. I may not be there to protect you. Tanya was thrilled by his words, and they went home to rest. As always, there was only one room to sleep, which made Tanya feel closer to Ren. During the night, she began to realize that she had come to admire him, and perhaps indeed loved him. The next morning, while on their way to their new mission, they encountered something completely unexpected. The hero squad was standing in front of them. Ren was so shocked that he couldn't move. As for Tanya and Kanade, they didn't know who they were and didn't understand what was happening. Let's get out of here now, Rein muttered, but no sooner had he moved than he heard Arius's voice calling him. Don't treat me like that, my friend. We've been comrades in the past, haven't we? Or are you angry just because we called you worthless? Tanya and Kanade realized they were in front of the champion squad, and they were very angry. Arius noticed their presence and was stunned to see that two of the world's most powerful factions were walking with and supporting Ren. But Ren wasn't interested and asked him to cut it short, saying, Say what you have, I don't have time to waste with you. Arius smiled and said, You know the Forest of Illusion, don't you? Ren replied apprehensively, What do you mean? Arius continued, We tried to cross it for a week but we didn't succeed. You know, traveling with luggage is very daunting, which is why we want you with us to use your animals and guide us through the road, as well as to carry our luggage. Ren's face blushed angrily, and he said sarcastically, Do you expect me to agree to this ridiculous request? Let's go, girls. We don't have time to waste with them. But one of the girls from the hero squad stopped him and said, The forest hides inside it the Shield of Truth, a magic tool that will help the hero defeat the Demon King. Your refusal to do so means that you will allow many innocent people to die. Ren looked at her sharply and replied, You are really malicious. You know I won't let anyone get hurt. At that moment they grabbed his injured arm so hard, which made him in great pain. Ren was angry but had to agree, saying, Okay, I'll help you. But Tanya and Kanade did not allow it. Tanya angrily told them, You kicked him out earlier, and now you're asking him to help you. It will only happen if you kneel in front of him and apologize. Arius was very angry and shouted, Do you think that I, as a hero, would apologize to a coward like him? "That's impossible," and then looked at Ren's and said sarcastically, "Why don't you order these animals to retreat? It's true that they're spirits of the stronger factions, but after all, they're just monsters, right?" Ren couldn't hold back his anger, so he punched Arius in the face, saying, "These are my friends, and if you dare to insult either of them again, you'll see what you don't like." Arius looked at him angrily and said, "How dare a mere tamer of monsters beat me? Well, I challenge you in battle. My team is against yours, and whoever loses is subject to the winner." Ren smiled confidently and said, "Okay, the battle has begun. As a club, I faced the sword-wielding fighter. Tanya took over the fight against the two girls from the team, and Ren was his opponent, Arius himself. The confrontation is caught. The fencer was quite self-confident and told Kanade, "I've always wanted to fight a member of the stronger factions." But Kanade angrily said, "I'll make you apologize to Ren for offending him." She rushed hard at him, and he found himself receiving blows from every side without being able to respond. He pooled his energy in his sword to attack her, but she easily repelled the blow. She stepped back a little and then mocked him, saying, "All this screaming about legendary techniques, that's all you got?" The swordsman felt angry and said, "I will fight you with all my might." His energy began to gather around his body, and she looked at him as a club and said, "Finally." She started taking it seriously. "Well, I'll only use half my strength." In less than a second, she disappeared in front of him, then suddenly appeared behind him, kicked him and broke one of his bones, and he fell to the ground. Tanya began her battle against the two girls, provoking them, saying, "Come on, show me what you have." They got angry and rushed towards her with all their might, but Tanya just snapped her fingers to neutralize their spells. The girls were surprised again, while Tanya was laughing sarcastically and saying, "Is this the most you have? My ability is called physical cancellation, and it enables me to erase any spell against me, no matter how strong it is," Tanya said. "So are you done?" The girls became more angry, gathering all their strength and attacking them, but to no avail. At that point they completely lost the motivation to fight. Tanya continued, "Do you think you're going to smell rain and I'll let you do it? No, no way. Now I'm going to show you the real magic." The sky began to turn red, and meteorites appeared on the horizon. The girls were terrified by what they saw, and realized that this might be their end. They couldn't stand the scene and fainted, but Tanya didn't intend to kill them, because she didn't want Ren to be sad. Thus, she managed to defeat the two girls, leaving only Ren and Arius. "You see, who will win?" Arius quipped. "It was foolish to face a hero like me. Get ready for your death." But before he could finish, Ren rushed in and attacked him suddenly. Interrupting his speech, Arius became angry and began to attack with his sword, which he was very skilled at using, hitting Ren in several places on his body. However, Ren struck a powerful punch that made him retreat, and, before Arius could catch his breath, he found another punch shattering the rock behind him. He was shocked and said, "How did you become so strong?" Ren replied with a wry smile, "This is the power of the tamer of the monsters I mocked. By the way, I memorize your every move." He then kicked him hard, knocking him away. Arius was very angry and launched a lightning spell at Ren, but he countered it using his magic enhanced by another energy. Arius said confidently, "This spell of yours will not withstand the barrage of spells that I will now launch," and then began to launch more magic attacks. Ren tried to avoid attacks, and it seemed that the situation had become difficult for him, or so he wanted to show it. As Arius attacked, he suddenly found himself falling to the ground, his whole body drugged. Ren laughed. "Have you forgotten that I'm good at taming insects?" It turns out that Ren has been watching an insect from the beginning of the fight and allowed Arius to hit him so that he could direct the insect to bite him. Arius fell to the ground and said in surrender, "Forgive me, I'm sorry, I will not repeat this mistake." But, do you think Ren will forgive him after he insulted his friends? Definitely not. Ren hit him with a powerful punch that smashed his face and shattered the ground beneath him. Tanya and Kanade arrived at his place, and they were very happy with their victory. After the defeat of the champions team, Tanya forced the girls to apologize to Ren. Arius then began to tell them about the Shield of Truth, which is located in the Forest of Illusion under the protection of a monster. Ren said confidently, "Don't worry, I'll bring it myself." Rein and his friends set out into the forest in search of the gear. Tanya came up with the idea of burning the forest to the ground to make the search easier, but Ren stopped her, saying, "Slow down, Tanya." They continued their progress inside the forest, and Ren decided to merge himself with another bird to figure out the way to the gear. After the merger was successful, he was able to locate and then return to continue the journey with his friends, but they kept walking for a long time in vain. Kanade said, "Will we keep walking forever? I'm tired." But before she could continue, she noticed